Welcome to episode 9 of the Amb Ant Podcast. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Amber.
And today we are talking about the anime God of High School. Please like, comment, and subscribe for more past cast reviews like these.
Yes. So what do you think about it?
I thought this one was great. Great for the first 3 episodes. Exactly what I had imagined back when I read the manhwa a while back. We actually watched this one, I think, maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe one and a half months ago, maybe. And we almost cannot remember much.
Was it that long ago?
I feel like it was either 1 month ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, around
there's
there.
There's no need to nitpick the time, but yeah.
Yeah, around there. It was just, I felt like the first 3 episodes were exactly on point. It showed off Jin Mori's characteristics. Like, he's kind of a carefree guy. He's kind of he's kind of strong. Han Dae-hui showed him off as well, and then showed off the girl main character, which is we'll just call her Mira.
But yeah, like you said that he's like a carefree guy and stuff. Exactly my point. There's like a huge majority of like main characters are in like shonen kind of like battle works. They're just like carefree and simple-minded. But yeah. For me, like, we didn't watch this anime together in the first half, right? Like, I watched the first half by myself as it was coming out weekly.
Right, I think we started at episode 5 or 6. So. Yeah, so it was after the weird marriage episode.
Yeah. And then, like, that is where, like, I stopped watching it originally. Like, when I saw the whole marriage episode, I was just so confused. Like, but to be quite honest, I didn't like the first 3 episodes either. So for me, oh my god.
Wait, I liked the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, I heard.
Oh, you didn't like any of them?
I don't like any of it.
Okay.
It was just boring. I don't know, maybe like the pacing is the issue, so then I was just like bored, and I just did not care that much for the characters. So then, yes, I am taken against my will off of my bed where I was sleeping at, and now I have to talk about this. What do I even say?
Just say this one was not up to standards.
I wouldn't say it's not up to standards. It's just like me personally, I don't like it.
Okay.
I was just confused. I was bored, and then like the power system was just very unclear.
Right. Yeah, I mean, when they started getting into the powers, I think they came up maybe even a little earlier than the manhwa. I don't remember powers being such a big deal until closer to the end of the high school arc, where the tournament arc. I do enjoy that they started with the tournament, and there was not that much like lead up to the tournament, so they immediately started fighting. It's just that once the powers were revealed, you no longer cared about the smaller fights happening in the tournament. The focus kind of shifted more towards the greater action around, and then that kind of led to just the kids are playing in the playground, we're panning the camera to them, and then the adults are fighting in the actual world that matters. So it's like it felt a little like they were trying to show multiple storylines all at once.
And I was just confused, and I did not care for anyone.
Yeah, like, I feel like in the manhwa, it was definitely more centered around Jin Mori and then his like kind of growth. But here we tried to get a little bit of everyone's perspective. There was even a little like, I think at least 1.5, maybe even 2.5 episodes like dedicated towards Mira's quest for her family sword dojo.
Yeah, basically. So yeah, like, you know, even though I know, like, Mira is fighting for this, and, like, Teui is, like, fighting for whoever, like, his friend, and I'm just like, good for y'all. Like, I don't feel like that I am supporting them because, like, oh yeah, I also believe in the goals that they're striving for, and oh, this is so moving. I was kind of like, oh, y'all, just whoever wins takes the cake, I guess. Good luck to everyone. But I'm just like, oh, I would want to feel more emotionally attached to the whole story. And also about, like, the tournament arc. I was telling you earlier, like, I liked Heaven's Arena and Hunter x Hunter so much. I kind of wanted that. Like, I felt like that was, like, the modern tournament arc when, like, all the people's powers are kind of, like, different. So then you have to, like, use your brain, and then, like, you kind of can write a story about, like, you know, twist. Oh, aha, like, he got you on this one. And then it's like, oh, and then this power, actually, there's a loophole, and then whatever. Like, I wanted some kind of conflict that is actually explainable, like, with their powers and whatnot. And then this is just like, oh, yeah, it looks cool.
Yeah, definitely there was a lot of just looks cool action. There was not much, a certain power counters a certain power in a certain way that's revealed later in the fight that kind of twists it around. Hunter x Hunter had a lot of those twists,
JoJo
which made it,
too.
yeah, JoJo,
Not
which
a
made it
tournament
just,
arc, but just overall fighting.
it was generally just a little more, I guess, cohesive, maybe. Like, there's like a point to these fights. Rather, these ones, they just kind of reveal their powers, and then it's like boom, the fight is decided after they reveal their powers. I actually really enjoy watching fighting anime. So like, I generally liked a lot of, I guess, the newer, like, Netflix shows. Even there were quite a few, like Baki, yeah, what is it? Records of Ragnarok. You got Baki Hanma, like those kinds of fighting. They're right up my alley, right? So those.
But I feel like those are written better. Like, you understand why he won instead of him, kind of, and then
right, exactly.
Yeah, like this one, I was just like, wow, animation, beautiful.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, whoever wins, I will not, like, be surprised.
Yeah, so the animation was really good. So I really enjoyed all the fights. The storyline, not so much. Just because I feel like there's a lot of, just again, like the amount of story you get, as compared to the amount of fighting. I guess it's a little like half and half for a fighting anime. But yeah, like, we don't really need to know all that about Han Dae-hui and Yumi Ra, because they actually don't think they're that important later on in the story anyway.
Oh my god, you're spoiling so much.
I don't think that's a spoiler. I don't remember if they're that. Well, I don't remember if they're that important. I'm not saying like. I don't.
Definitively. Okay.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they aren't. And usually in like these anime, like, you care more about the main character than anything. So, like, in Baki, you care about Baki, and then...
But I don't care about Molly's, like, whole backstory or, like, his relationship with the grandpa. I was just like, oh, yeah, mentor figure that is gone, I guess. And I just felt like everything was so, like, tropey without any heart put into it. So then I'm just like, I don't know how his, like, relationship with his grandpa is, other than, like, he was abandoned, basically. It's like, well, how is... like, why should I care about this? Like, love. I don't know, familial love.
Yeah, I believe his grandpa is just, like, strongest guy or something, close to it. And then, like, he gets taken down by the occultists trying to summon their own god. We see him, like, lose an arm as well in the anime. Jim Mori gets, like, really upset at that. But yeah, it's just... I guess my takeaway from the anime, aside from like the really cool fights, is that like nothing is really explained. It's kind of just happens. So you don't really get a sense of how strong people are. They're not really saying it. You can kind of see it somewhat, but since everybody has like magical powers that don't exactly counter each other, or like you don't know which, like, to what extent they're like powerful. You don't get a good gauge of anybody's actual power level.
Yeah.
But yeah, what'd you think of it overall?
Well, I guess overall, I mean, like I watched it weekly when it was coming out because I was just like, oh my god, this is so cool. It's like a webtoon. It's finally getting like a legit like Japanese anime adaptation. That was so cool.
Yeah, I really like the webtoon kind of series, such as this one and also Tower of God, Noblesse. They're all adaptations
Those,
now.
again, like the adaptation is just like odd. I don't know what's about it. Like, is it just like the pacing is odd?
Because they're Koreans instead of Japanese people.
God, but I'm just like, is there like some kind of like communication like going like wrong? Like, there's just like a huge gap between the quality of the manhwa, as I've heard from like everyone in the community, and like the actual anime that it actually becomes. And I'm not a webtoon person at all. Like, it really bothers me how like every page is composed, so then I usually don't do it. So this doesn't make me want to read the source material. I'm just like, oh,
right. It does not guarantee satisfaction as advertised. You don't like want to go further. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of same. I don't feel any need to go back to it.
But then you read it first.
I
right?
read it first.
Yeah.
Read up to the current chapter at the time. Then I dropped it. Then I actually came back and I read more of it. But the third time around, I didn't bother. I just watched the anime. And the anime does not make me want to go back as well. So yeah, it's a little
for me, like, everything's just forgettable, but like nothing is too bad either. Like, whoa, this was just like stupid. Like, I mean, the wedding thing, that was just stupid.
Yeah, so I believe episode 4 goes into a lot about how Miraz has to make a choice between the tournament and then her the rest of her life. I guess her dojo, and then like wedding, married to like some rich sword guy who's like going to help her spread the word, or something like that. Revive her dojo. You get sometimes into these weird little side stories with like Park Il-pyo. Like right before they fight, we're getting a glimpse into his life and how it was for him. So we're just getting glimpses into everybody's like situation that we generally don't care about that much. So I remember like the moves are cool. I believe the action was great.
Yeah, again, we keep on like coming back to the action because like I feel like that was like the redeeming quality of it.
It's a big plus, to have like great action. So I kind of appreciate that from the actual manhwa as well. So they had, lots of fighting, lots of great moves. At the time, I think this was a really old manhwa, so I mean, relatively. So definitely like that. It was really hard to gauge everything. I think I Commissioner's strengths were a little off as well, I would say, because I believe Jim Mori was able to just one tap and defeat Commissioner Q when they fought in like the fourth, like maybe 5th episode, I believe. So that was a little weird for me as well. But yeah,
see, I don't even remember that. So I'm just like, oh yes, I believe, but I'm just like, I don't remember. It's like, it was just like, oh, cool fighting, and like someone gets beaten down, and I don't know, nor do I care. So I'm just, I guess it was like a little disappointing because I did have a lot of hype before it came out, and like when it was coming out in the beginning. And then, again, the wedding episode just, like, destroyed it for me. I was just like, oh, I don't... Like, it was so contrived. It's like, oh, now you have to get married. Like, I don't know what kind of commentary is trying to say. Like, you said you kind of felt like it was a social commentary, but, like, to me, I just felt like it was, like, a tropey thing. Like, oh, the girl has to I don't know, get married and whatnot, and like the main character has to help the girl out. It's like, oh, we have to save this damsel in distress by not letting her get married.
Right. Yeah, the reason I said it was a sort of social commentary was that, like, I don't believe in the manhwa that this point was that, like, exasperated, right?
Yes.
So, like, I don't believe that she, like, we even gave it like 3 chapters. I was surprised that they dedicated 1 full episode to this, just this, and like the other episodes on the fights were all split up, multiple fights in 1 episode. You got like even flashes to commissioner fights and like everything else. And then you dedicated 1 whole episode to Mira's wedding. So I felt like that was sort of an interesting, like,
Choice,
right? Like I thought it was a statement, pretty much.
I felt, again, like, to me, I thought it was just like a trope. It's like, oh yeah, like, you need to be saved. And then also it's like, who really likes you are the people who allow you to be who you are. Pursue your own dreams. And it's like, oh god, I just don't need this, like, fed into my face at this moment.
Right. I feel like what they could have done better here was that, like, the pacing was a little fast, I would even say. Because, like, if they just
overall,
broke
yes.
down every single fight from the first, like, I want to say first high school, and then they just, like, have those 3 winners, the top 3 from those. Because in the beginning, it moved really fast.
It
like,
did.
The main characters, the trio, just destroyed their opponents immediately. It was like they were trying to rush to get to the
Power reveal.
I guess the power reveals, like the crazy characters at the end, the crazy fights. Like they're trying to rush to those super powered fights, and it just felt like the power scaling and the power progression was too quick.
Yeah.
It was fast in some parts and extremely slow in other parts.
Yeah.
So
it was just all over the place. Like the direction, I feel like.
Yeah, I see what they were trying to do, and they're trying to like skip to the good stuff.
But like, it doesn't. Like, I'm not convinced that it's good stuff because I'm just like, why is this so randomly like introduced? Like, I don't. Aren't we just talking about martial arts and now it's like, oh god, and I was like, okay.
Yeah, basically they become gods. Like it's revealed that Mori is the reincarnation of Sun Wukong. And then you got Jaegal as the reincarnation of something else. Or he just like merges with something else and then becomes the
monster. I don't know.
The crazy monster that like devours everything. So like we go 0 to 1000 in like 5 episodes.
Yeah, I don't like that.
Yeah.
I'm just I wanted like more hints, I guess. Like I just wanted something that kind of like led me in the direction, and I was like, oh yes, this makes sense, rather than like,
yeah, well, you kind of just dropped into the action, right? You just dropped into like a scene where Commissioner Q is like fighting this random dude that pops out of nowhere and then like starts beating on him. I remember the scene being really cool in the manhwa, so I think they were going for the cool factor, like the shock factor. Oh, everything's going down.
Yeah.
However, when that is happening off in a far off place that you don't really know, it's I guess it can be foreshadowing, but also like you're not impacted by it. So then the kitties playing in the kiddie pool, you go back to that, it's not as fun.
Yeah, it's like I don't care. Like the whole thing just like spews that kind of energy, and like even the main character, like I don't know his personality, so I don't care if he wins or not. I don't root for him. And then, like, the whole, like, Sun Wukong, like, I don't know if they called it, like, Sun Goku, but, like, it's, like, I guess it's cool to look at. The whole thing is just, like, oh, aesthetically interesting, but I get, like, there's some virtue to, like, oh, show, don't tell. Like, yeah, we don't explain. You're thrown into the action. You figure it out yourself. But, like, there's a balance, right? Like, sometimes I just feel like Hunter x Hunter, as I was talking about, like, it's too much explanation. Like, the whole Nen power is too complicated. And then I don't care about, like, reading text like that. But then, like, this is just the completely opposite direction where I'm just...
Like, nothing is really explained.
Yeah.
You barely know where these Charyuk powers are coming from. Mm-hmm. And then, even when they do show up, you're not sure to what extent they can be employed.
Yeah.
You're not really sure.
Is it that important? Like, is it that strong? Like, the Nine-Tailed Fox versus Sun Wukong, I'm just like, is it in the same cinematic universe? Kind of, like, I don't know which one's supposed to be stronger.
Right, and then you have the all-devouring, like, OP guy who just kills everything and, like, destroys everything. And I'm like... Yeah, it's a little crazy.
Yeah, and it's like not cool enough that the craziness itself is there to kind of like hold my attention. I'm like, okay.
Right. There's, I guess, I forgot what we were. Okay, so wait, back to the point about how they were, I guess. What is it? Kind of forgot where we were. But okay.
Why? Why did you pick this anime? Why do we have to talk about it now?
We can keep it in. We can keep that in because like I have no idea. This one just seemed really.
You forced this upon us.
Yeah, it was off place. But I feel like I really liked the manhwa back in the day, so this deserves an episode because
yeah, it was like semi-special to you, and like now it's like disappointing in a way. Like it could have.
I still want to do Tower of God.
Oh my god, no! I don't think I can.
I want to do Noblesse.
Huh?
Noblesse.
Oh my god, isn't that actually BL-ish?
Okay, sure.
Yes.
You down?
Then sure.
Right.
I'm always for BL.
We're agreed. Noblesse is next.
Oh my god. No. Okay. Sure.
I'm just kidding.
Sure.
But
Who knows?
yeah.
Who knows?
Anyway, like I do like how like if they were gonna go this route, I think they should have just slowed down, make us as a second season. But I understand like it's more complicated than just that, right? You gotta make sure that it's a success or something.
Yeah, maybe like they're afraid like if we don't get to the god part, like no one would care about it as much.
Right.
So it's like, oh yeah, then we will never be able to do like a second season to get to the cool part.
Yeah, so I mean I liked the power scaling of the manhwa because it took a lot of chapters in order to get into any like special powers. You're just kind of like he's just a strong guy, and then you're watching him progress, and then like you hear of like special powers, you see some, then it doesn't really matter. But this one, you see one, and then it like all hell breaks loose. You see them all, and then that is a little fast.
Yeah, too fast. Just give me some like I don't know. Not backstories. I don't need any more backstories, but like give me some just like good fighting.
Good
writing.
Fighting explanation.
Yeah,
at least a little bit.
And then like do more of the like back in the day Dragon Ball, like just one power. You kind of like use the whole episode to kind of like like I don't know. Get the energy
you hype it up.
It.
You hype it up a little. Yeah.
And then like now it's like everything is so hype that nothing is actually hype because there is no like contrast.
Yeah, it's just hype and then a little bit more hype. Some like guy dies and then people are sad. Then more hype.
Like, and then I'm just like, I'm not even aware that someone dies and they're important. I was like, okay, sure.
I guess it was the announcer guy, but like at the time, even I wasn't sure like who that was.
Yeah.
Then after they said they replaced the announcer guy, I was like, oh,
shit,
like, right. So I'm just like,
and he has a family.
He has a family. We didn't need that.
Like.
Keep a mystery. Keep a mystery. Right?
Yeah, I just feel like all of it is just, again, very tropey. It's like done in a way. It's like, oh, yes, look at his family. Now you should feel sad. Look at this. You should feel like this is really cool. Look at this person's backstory. You're supposed to root for them. And I was like, oh god. Everything was just like written in a way that is just too obvious. I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like it was a little obvious at times. Because this is... you already know that he's gonna win. Jim Murray's gonna come out on top, right? So it can't really go any other way. Because like one loss and they're knocked out of the tournament, they can't lose
Yeah.
ever. Otherwise, the
It'll
story
just be
ends.
boring. Yeah.
So there's that. I mean, I did want to see more of the top fighters and like also more lore on like why they're so strong. So like Jin Tae-jin, I believe we didn't get to see anything almost. You know, he just summons God and then uses God to crush Jin, you know, Tae-jin, and that's it. He loses an arm, he gets captured, like he gets tortured. He like doesn't seem like the strongest, right? At that point. And then you also don't exactly know like whether it was because the enemy, like the cultist guys were strong that they captured him, or did they just use God power and then they destroyed him, right? So yeah, I did want to also see more like renewal taekwondo type things. I felt like maybe Jin, you know, Tae-jin could have showed some of that, but I don't think he did. He just kind of like lost immediately.
See, I look at this person's image and I don't really recognize him.
Yeah.
Like, again, like, we watched it on 2X, too. Like,
no, we watched like all of it together, almost.
No, well,
the
kind of like latter
you know,
2/3 of it.
Yeah, we watched 2/3 of it together.
Yeah,
and
I was like, oh, I guess it's like shonen-y thing, so I'll just watch it. But I'm just like, oh my god, something about it. It's like, should all the webtoons when they're adapted have like better communication as to like how they want to be presented? Because I just feel like all of the webtoon turn anime things didn't kind of like become something that is like big enough so that like, you know, it becomes a thing, like normal thing. It's like, oh, all the webtoons are getting an anime. It's like every time it's like, oh yeah, it's supposed to be really good, and then the people who like read the source material has to tell everyone like, oh yeah, it's the original thing is actually so much better than this. And I'm just like, oh, but why is it just not as good as like how it's supposed to be? Like all of these adaptations, it's kind of frustrating.
Yeah, like we're promised something pretty insane. You got MAPPA after, you know, MAPPA Studio making this, some big name.
Yeah.
And then you just can't like it doesn't deliver the same way that the manhwa did.
Yeah, and then it's like we know that MAPPA's super good. Like we just did Jujutsu Kaisen, and then like they're gonna do Chainsaw Man. Like I have like full faith in that. I'm just like,
Jujutsu Kaisen was great.
Yeah. And I'm just but like, why is this one just so odd? And then like the director of the whole show, like he's also like, isn't he the same person like the Korean director that also directed like Jujutsu Kaisen? Like there were no big pacing issues in that, but then like here it's just like, oh god,
they wanted to fit everything in, and then that didn't really work. It's kind of like when you try to cook a dish and you throw everything you can possibly throw in the dish into the dish.
Yeah. It's like,
it sometimes doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So. The
combination is just like, oh, I guess. Like, all of the elements by itself is pretty good. But it's like, everything just kind of like dilutes your attention. And then you're just like, oh, okay, cool. I guess.
Like I only have one brain cell to pay attention to things. When there are multiple things to pay attention to, my brain cell dies.
Yes.
Right.
But yeah, I just wanted more, I guess, lore is the good word, like, to kind of, like, describe, like, kind of even, like, the Nine-Tailed Fox and, like, Son Wukong, like, Son Goku. Isn't there supposed to be kind of some explanation or, like, hype of, like, oh yeah, this is, like, a historical, mystical figure? Like, they kind of just assume people, like, would get it. It's like, right. Oh yeah, it's super cool. Believe that it's super cool.
Yeah, I think that, like, in maybe Korean folklore or something, they, like, some of the abilities they use, like, they're very Korean words.
There are Chinese words, too.
Yeah, Korean Chinese words. Like, they mean something more in Korean culture.
I don't know.
So that, like, they don't need to go over-explain it, but when it translates into the overseas, I guess, audience, a lot of, actually, Korean stuff is like this. I feel like now that I mainly read like, I guess manhwa, light novels are all Korean for me.
You do
Other than
some
the
Japanese.
OGs, right? The OGs, yeah. But recently, it's been mostly Korean, and they have a lot of Korean like only type,
Assumptions.
type assumptions that you just kind of like. I don't understand them, but I just notice them, and then I just kind of move past it. It doesn't really detract from the story that much. I feel like in the manhwa, but if you're doing it in anime form, better prepare some explanation for the overseas audience, I would say.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I was just like, yeah, I get like Sun Kong's super important in just like Chinese like COZ in general, Journey to the West. But then like, oh, I don't know. It just hits weird. And I can't even like describe the main character's personality now that I'm like looking at him, other than like, oh yeah, simple main characters.
Simple main character who is strong physically, who uses his fists.
Yeah.
Sound like anybody else?
Yeah, I was like, exactly. I'm just, I wanted something to make me care about him. Like, some quirkiness. Like, sometimes I feel like anime nowadays, like, they make the main character, or just, like, characters in general, too quirky.
They make him... Oh, really?
Don't
like,
you think
quirky.
so? Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, look at how he acts. That is so different from all the other ones. But then it's like, oh, this one is just too generic. It's like, you can use that description on everyone who's like a main character.
Right, yeah, I was actually thinking, like, this guy is just like all the other ones. Like, he reminds me of Jujutsu Kaisen. Reminds me a little bit of One Piece. You got a little bit of, like, Dragon Ball Z in there, you know? You just got,
Dragon
like...
Ball Z, definitely.
You got a little bit of everything in there. You just kind of... A little bit of Naruto, maybe. It's like, you're just a simple mad lad who's just, like, strong and then, like, wanting to become the best. Yeah. Or strongest. Or whatever,
exactly. Yeah. It's like, oh, even his character design, it's kind of like, oh yeah, give him a crazy hair so we know that he's the main character.
Right. So like, it's Dragon Ball Z hair.
Well, kind of true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So
that's why I'm just like, oh, it just feels like it's not made with too much heart. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I do like the animation towards the end. I would still like...
Oh, Mappa's animation.
It's great.
There's nothing bad I can say about it.
So, I guess all that's left to do is kind of a... I mean, do you have any other points about it?
No, I'm, again, taken against my will to be here.
Kidnapped.
I feel bad because it's like, I feel like I didn't care about it that much, and then I don't know about it too much, and I'm like, oh god, why should my opinion on this even matter? Because I don't know about it. But
don't worry, there's not much to know.
Yeah. But also I'm just like, as like a normal audience who is not into like, you know, the original thing, like I just feel like my opinion still kind of matters.
Yeah, I think your perspective still kind of matters because it's just like, what do you do if you haven't read the manhwa? You're just going into it. You're like, Mappa's good. I like Mappa, and then like you watch it and you're like, I no longer like Mappa. No,
the animation again. There's nothing bad about it, so I'm just like, oh. Yeah, Mappa's great, but the story's so strange.
Yeah, they, it's just the way they combine the episodes, I feel like. Could have been done better. But overall, what would you rate it?
Oh, great. I don't know, 4 or 5.
4, alright. I would rate it a 6.5 or a 7. The animation was quite good. I would watch again. I normally watch. Oh my god,
I would not watch again for sure.
I would like like had I not watched it before, I would definitely watch it again.
Oh, I understand.
It's a watch, yeah, it's a watch.
No, I would have just stopped at the wedding episode. I felt like that was the right call, but here I am.
Taken against your will.
Yes.
Is that pretty much it? This is a shorter episode just because this one, not really too much to talk about. Watch it if you haven't already.
I don't know. Don't watch it. I feel like I'm just like, there's nothing like special about it. Might as well use your time to catch up on some old classic shonen
Right.
anime.
To use your time. So she's saying use your time on literally anything else. Works.
No.
Works for me.
Okay.
Thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.